Hey everyone, good evening and welcome. My name is Nikisha Henry. I am going to be the moderator for this evening, and we just want to welcome you guys to another community conversation with the Black Small Business Association. Tonight, you guys, we're talking about the Black hospitality industry and the history and impacts of economic inequalities. All right, try saying that 3 times fast because we're just going to dive in and get straight into this. As we know, COVID-19 it's had a huge impact on the hospitality industry, but what happens when COVID goes away and dies down? The fact of the matter is there's still an impact. So those are some of the things that we're going to be talking about. So we have joining us an awesome panel of guests, and some of you guys, many of you may know them because they're the bomb, y'all. I just have to say that they are all the bomb in their own way. So first, I'm going to bring on Matthew and Jonathan Burgess with Burgess Brothers. Oh, cool. All right, we got everybody. That's right. The more, the merrier. Yes, no, maybe so. There we go. All right. So we have Matthew. Can you unmute, Matthew? We got you on mute.
Yes. Thank you for having
Matthew
me.
and John.
Thanks for having us. It's a pleasure, and we're honored to be a part of this.
Yep, what Matt said. Honored to be back. Looking forward to a nice discussion this evening. And yeah, just looking forward to it. Great to be here. Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about Burgess Brothers. You guys are being all shy. Y'all know y'all got some good barbecue. Come on now.
I mean, we do a little bit of everything, from barbecue sauce to our own mixes to our own sausages to concession space to hospitality suppliers. So a little bit of everything.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for taking time out to join us tonight. All right. Next up, we have Danielle with.
Hey, am I up? I can't tell.
You're up, girl.
Okay. Hi, my name is Danielle. I have a lunch delivery, catering, and currently grocery delivery food business based out of Sacramento. It's called Goodful. Our website is eatgoodful.com. We use all local ingredients and just trying to bring everybody some nice goodness.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Danielle. Look forward to the conversation in a little bit.
Definitely. Thank you.
Next up, we have Miss Jamie Mack with Spider Monkeys Dessert Studio. You guys, her desserts are so good. Hey, Jamie.
Hey, how you doing, Nikisha?
Good. Tell us about this Spider Monkey business, girl.
Well, I spent 10 years as a cake artist doing custom cakes for baby showers, birthdays, weddings, bar mitzvahs, all that. But just recently I decided to, it was a hard decision, but discontinue the custom cakes, but I'm working on a new line of cream cakes now. So there's pretty much any flavor that you can think of. But they're stacked cakes. For the full stack, it's 4 layers of cake, 3 layers of filling. You can see it. It's beautiful. It's delicious. And there's so many different flavors, from strawberry shortcake to triple chocolate to pralines and cream, German chocolate, pretty much anything you can think of. I got a flavor for anybody.
All right. So for y'all that thought y'all was going to lose a few pounds, not going to happen. And last but certainly not least, we have Rob Archie with Urban Roots Brewery and Smokehouse. Hey, Rob.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about Urban Roots.
So Urban Roots is a full production brewery and restaurant. We actually just celebrating our 2nd anniversary this week, ironically. So also owner of Pangea Cafe. We opened in 2008. We just turned 12 years old this year.
Congrats.
And Bach Fried Chicken, which is not quite a year old.
Okay. All right. So you got quite a few things going in the mix. Congratulations, Rob. Congratulations.
Busy enough for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we look forward to having you a part of the conversation as well. So if we can get everyone back in the mix, that would be so awesome. And as they're coming on, for all of you that are just tuning in with us, thank you guys so much for tuning in to another community conversation with Black Small Business Association. And you guys, tonight it's all about the hospitality industry. So we're just going to jump right in. Just a few statistics kind of to get us started. So in 2020, the population is 521,769,000 people right here in Sacramento. It's the 6th largest city in California, and we are the 37th largest city in the U.S. So SAC is currently growing at a rate of 1.29% annually, and its population has increased by 11.85%. But however, with that being said, a lot of our Black restaurant owners, they're left out of the mix. They're left out of the mix when it comes to, you know, being able to be suppliers, be able to be vendors in places like Golden One and other things like that. So let's kind of talk about that. What are some of the issues that you guys each, and we'll just kind of go around, I'll call on you one by one. What are some of the issues that you have faced, you know, being a Black business owner in this industry? Let's start with you, Danielle. What are some of the issues that you faced?
Yeah. Okay. So I would say, just as trying to open a restaurant in the city of Sac, and literally, I think this applies to anybody who's not kind of like brought into the system through generational advantages. It's difficult because you have a system that forces you to have, you know, $250,000 or something in the bank in order to, you know, rent a space out. And you go through these, you know, numerous steps one by one, and you see, you know, week by week how difficult it is for all of us to kind of, you know, rise up by our bootstraps, like they say. So, and I think it goes on and on. I mean, I could keep going, but I know there's a bunch of other people on the panel, you know.
Okay. Yeah, no. Thank you for sharing that. What about you, Rob? You have a few businesses in operation right now. What are some of the challenges that you faced being African American in this industry?
I mean, you know, I think back. So I started Pangea in 2008 at the crash of the economy, my wife and I. So, you know, it's already like, I'm just thinking, you know, what you're saying is already so crazy just being a restaurateur. I mean, outside of being Black. I mean, it's just, you know, this time is actually kind of normal to me, of just having to react and not think, and just having to change your mind and having to do what you got to do. Because it's just, you don't really arrive. And so on top of that, you know, just running your restaurant, some of the things you're talking about, like getting contracts, corporate contracts and things of that nature, it just makes it that much tougher. You know, you got to be connected. Yeah. You got to understand, you know, how things work. So, I mean, and it really does take a team. Like, you know, I look back at when I first started to where I'm at now, and it's really interesting. Like, actually, my neighbor, Marlena Klopp, that owns Gunther's across the street, she gave me some advice one time. She said, because I did everything. So she told me, she said, Rob, you're only worth the job you're doing at the time. So if you're washing dishes, that's what your worth is, right? Wow. And so in order to grow, it's like you got to kind of step out and have some perspective on your business, to kind of see where you want to navigate. Other than that, you're like literally in the mix, you know, so you just day-to-day, you know, hand-to-hand combat. So, I mean, just to say, like, I mean, Pangea, I was reading about Prop 209, and I felt kind of embarrassed because that was the first time I even heard about that. I'm not that political. I started my business literally with cash, and I just grew naturally as I could. I still don't have a loan out on it. You know, it was just how I can grow, I'd grow.
Yeah.
And so all this stuff, I just kind of never pulled my head up. I just kept going. And next thing you know, it's like things just happen. But I mean, I guess I just want a long-winded way to say that it's like anyone who's interested in this industry, you just got to know, it's like, you got to love it, because it's so daunting. You know, without, like I said, like the other challenges of just being African-American and just, you know, some of the, you know, cultural differences. So, or racial differences.
Yeah. So if I'm hearing you correctly, what you're saying is, outside of being Black, there's already so many challenges as there is being a restaurateur. But now because you are Black, that just adds so many more challenges into the mix, which is
Well,
understandable.
a lot,
That is
yeah,
understandable.
because I mean, like, I guess you got corporations, you got government, you got these entities, but then also the restaurant is a culture of its own anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of restaurateurs know each other. So just to kind of break into circles that normally you wouldn't be in, that's a whole thing of itself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like to be able to go in and make connections. And so it doesn't really have anything to do with the state or the government or, like, don't get me wrong, that's a thing too. But it's like you also
Mm-hmm.
have social circles that you got to be
Mm-hmm.
aware of. So there's many challenges, when it comes to growing and it comes to actually. So no one in my family had a restaurant. So my
Yeah.
only restaurant experience was Red Lobster for 2 months in college, straight up
Yeah.
busboy. That was
Yeah.
my experience before I opened Pangea,
Okay. Wow.
and that was it, right? And it's just like I had to just literally learn. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah,
Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, thank you for sharing that. I think it's pretty universal, and it will affect everyone differently depending on, what particular business are you just supplying, or do you actually have a restaurant, or like, are you Danielle making deliveries? So
yeah.
it impacts everyone differently. So let's move to you, Jamie. What specific challenges have you faced, being an African American cake artist, which is usually predominantly Caucasian? I mean, we're just going to put it like
Mhm.
it is. What challenges have you faced with that?
I think mostly to touch on like what Danielle and Rob was saying, being connected and having the knowledge that nobody shares with you is that's pretty much the biggest challenge because so I got my degree in business and with an emphasis in entrepreneurship. So
Okay.
once I got that, then it was like, oh yay, let's go start a business. And then it's like, wait a minute, we skipped some steps in school. Like, where do
Yeah.
I go get a business license? How do I pay my taxes? How do
Right.
I, get my supplies? These are things that are not taught to us. You really have to dig in and go and teach yourself these things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because if you didn't grow up in it, if your family is not a restaurant family or a food family, then they don't know. These
Right.
aren't conversations that you have growing up. So you really have to educate yourself. And even
Yeah.
when you go to, other artists, whether they're Black or Caucasian, doesn't even matter. At least in my industry, you ask them questions and they act like everything is secret squirrel. So,
Mm.
and just
Because it's
not
almost like it's a
very open
competition.
to,
Yeah.
yeah, very much
Mm-hmm.
so.
Mm-hmm.
But just it just takes a lot of effort and you have to pour yourself into it. You're not gonna have weekends. Your holidays are work.
Right.
It's a lot of self-sacrifice. Nobody tells you that. And then, like Rob was saying, you have years in it with your head down, just doing the work, making sure it gets done. And then you don't realize, number one, how far you've come. Number two, how much
Mm-hmm.
time you spent in the kitchen instead of networking properly.
Right.
How much time you spent washing dishes instead of,
Yeah.
being able to do the research that you need to do to grow properly.
Yeah.
But having people like meeting people who are very well educated in the industry like Jonathan, I have had a lot of time to talk with him about it, and he's informed me a lot, but it just
Mm-hmm.
really comes down to your network, knowing who to network with and
Right.
finding the ones that are willing to invest in helping you grow.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah. I
quite
think you hit the
difficult.
nail on the head. I think a lot of times, unfortunately, within our community, our folks are, once they make it, they want to stay there. And like you said, everything is
Yeah,
G5 classified. Nobody wants to give up any information, and they forget that they were
right.
once at that point. Instead of working together, everybody's competing with one another. So you bring up a very valid point. Thank you for that. And last but not least, Matt and John, what are some, you guys are a tag team brother duo there. what are some issues that you two have faced, running Burgess Brothers? And you guys, you're pretty well renowned within the community and having certain contractual agreements and things, but what are some of the things that you guys have faced, being brothers? You're both on mute. Can you hear me, John and Matthew?
Yeah, Matt, you gonna unmute yourself? Basically, and I'll just kind of mimic off what Rob said, and really is learning the lay of the land. Really, I think one of the biggest challenges is just social networks and being connected. And Jamie said a lot too. I mean, people want to keep information secret, and so that's one of the reasons why we're here. And I'm so willing to share. I felt that I feel like we've cracked the mold on something, and it's really about sharing and collaborating. So. It's connection, knowing the lay of the land and how to kind of navigate, because there are landmines, and not everybody out here is good for you. They don't want you to do well. They do see you as competition, and sometimes your competition is trying to take you out when really we'll get to those points of what we should be doing later.
Right. Thank you, John. Matthew?
Yeah, I mean, John hit it on the nose mostly, and I think Rob, everyone else alluded to it. Oftentimes, we are so busy working in the business that we can't work on the business. So part of that was stepping away for us to actually be objectively so that we could work on the business and find out some of those things that we had to learn the hard way. But again, there's a lot of people that aren't willing to share that information with you. But the bigger piece of that is having a diverse network so that you can get that information. I mean, looking at us as a culture as a whole, there's a lot of information that we didn't learn in business. So that's why it's so important too to have a network that's diversified, not everyone that looks like you, that can bring something more to the table to assist you with in business.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about that. Because there are certain policies that are put in place that do not help Black restaurateurs such as yourselves. And, for example, Prop 209, it prohibits the state from discriminating against or granting special treatment, on the basis of race, sex, color, ethnicity, or national origin. But it's policies like this that directly contribute to the erasure of Black business owners. So do you guys think that, as far as being able to get those contracts, because let's face it, the Golden One Center, right? I do not believe that there are any Black restaurant owners or suppliers that are a part of that arena at all. Yet you guys are paying your tax dollars just like everyone else. So is this a systemic issue? How do you guys define this, as far as the lack of representation? Because if they're not tracking, if the state of California is not tracking, which Black business owners are have contracts in certain areas, how do they know that there's a problem other than we don't see us?
So this is John. I'm just going to dive right in first, and I want to clarify. And so it's a systemic issue, not of the present, but it all goes back and it ties to economics. The Golden One Center, unless you're in those arenas, it takes money and connections to get into a place like that. And so it's systemic in the sense that as African Americans, we've been deprived for so long to build up that wealth and that, sponsorship money or marketing money that would take to get in there or have those connections. You just don't have them, so you're not going in, right? That's the reality of it. But that stems too from something else. However, when you look at our city officials, when you have, tax dollars that help build that arena, there should have been something in place to say, hey, we need representation here, because you look, 98% of the ball players look like everybody on this network. But yet, when you go to the establishment, I have a very different take when I go to the Golden One Center. I've been in a VIP club down there, and I see us as all the help but not leading anything. And it's, honestly, it's unfortunate, but at the end of the day, it comes down to economics. And economics, I could tie back to a lesson on slavery and all that, but I don't have the time to do it. But that's the bottom line.
Yeah. I totally agree because, you know, it definitely takes money, and right there, a lot of our people are already, they're starting off at a disadvantage before they can even get started. So anybody else want to chime in on that?
I mean,
Is it a
I could
systemic
jump
issue, or is
in.
it just money?
I mean, I could
Rob, go
jump in
ahead.
on kind of what Jonathan was saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's important because just the symbolism of being in the arena as a Black business, and even our cuisine, and, you know, just the, like I said, the symbolism of that to me is important. Those deals, on the other hand, it does take, you know, you do need a bigger team. You know, if you're just you only have a couple people in your restaurant, you know, it's hard. It's a
Mm-hmm.
little more challenging to try to put something together that works. Also, you know, those businesses, a lot of people don't know, it's not like it's yours. You know, that's a
Mm-hmm.
company that
Mm-hmm.
essentially leases your brand, and then they basically give you a royalty check from it. So it's a little bit more glamorous
Okay.
than the actual dollars are. You know, so like I said, it's the
Right.
symbolism of that is important. You know, because it's like I said, everything is not all what you see. You see a big sign and you think all these people are in line, but like I said, you're really leasing your brand, so the dollars don't really, you know, add up the way it is. But definitely, like you're
Mm.
saying, is being connected and being even having an opportunity and making sure that everyone is represented in these public places is really important.
Right. Right. Yeah. So that's Shirley Shepherd is chiming in, and she's saying, "What about collaborations?" Yeah, we're definitely going to get into that, Shirley. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Danielle or Jamie, anybody, you guys want to chime in on that? Anything in addition to
I would
add?
defer to the guys just because they're much more well versed than I am with this, with Prop 209 specifically.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was gonna say. I'm a cottage business, so I wouldn't be able to, handle a storefront like that on that level anyway.
Yeah.
But even with that, it comes down to knowledge and, you know, being aware of any of those opportunities that are even available, because I don't hear
Mm-hmm.
about them.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean,
So,
that's a good segue, Jamie, actually into the next point, you know, which is collaborations in all of the Black, restaurateurs and entrepreneurs in the hospitality industry actually working together. Those that are making it and have those big contracts, you know, the importance of them making sure that they're referring their people. So, how do we change this issue? Because obviously, because of certain policies that are set in place, and just because unfortunately this is the way of the land, it's not going to be an overnight change. So how do we collectively together as a group of African American um, uh, business owners in this industry, how do we do that? How do we collaborate? What are some ways that we can do that to change the trajectory of where we are right now?
Well,
Rob,
I'll
go ahead.
speak to collaboration. So, I learned about how important collaboration is in the beer industry. So I'll tell you like this. So at Pangaea, when we opened in 2008, we were one of the first places to kind of bring what we know as craft beer to the market today.
Mm-hmm.
Many breweries' business plans were written in that place, from Track 7 to Bike Dog to, I mean, there's a lot of beer bars that opened that were actually customers of mine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
and I'll just say, the beer community is very sharing. They're very collaborative. They're very sharing. One of the things that I always say when people ask me about competition in restaurant, I always say, anybody that's going into business should ask themselves, are you a value add? Or are you a value extract? Like, meaning, are you extracting value from the platform, or are you
Mm-hmm.
adding value to the platform? Because when you go in and you
Mm-hmm.
emulate something, that's not necessarily a healthy competitor, right?
Yeah.
If you come in the industry and you're adding something, then that's awesome. So, like, say for instance, we do, like, beer is perfect because we do IPA, sour beers. Then you have another brewery that does stouts, and, you know, like barrel aged porters, whatever, right? And
Mm-hmm.
therefore that makes collaboration fun, because you could do like a sour stout, you could do all kinds of stuff, right? It's the same thing with food. It's the same thing with atmosphere, because at the end of the day, the audience is the one that's receiving the benefit from it. They're not receiving the benefit from seeing us tussle with each other, right? So when anybody who's smart is going to want you to have your fundamentals together, anyone has any intelligence, they're going to want you to have your fundamentals together, but be a value add to the company, you know, to the platform, in order to enhance the overall food scene, bar scene, restaurant scene in your region. Because that's what I say is like, why aren't we getting people from the Bay Area that are just stopping in to Sacramento because they hear about the beer scene, or they hear about, you know, the wine scene? That's why we travel to Napa, right? It's like you're going there because you have a list of wineries you're going to hit. It's not just one. If you go to Austin, you're going there for barbecue, right? So you have a list of places you're going to hit. And when you go there, the people will tell you, man, you should go, you got to go over to see this guy. And if you want good ribs, you got to go see this guy, right? And so that's the thing, is really, it's a lot of connection. It's us connecting too, right? It's us as African-American business owners to be able to not only share information, but to challenge ourselves and to kind of get, like you said, that like zoomed out perspective on what's the goal, like who's our audience, right?
Yeah, and I think
and it's
that
just,
is the challenge, though, because is that happening? And that's my question.
it's not happening on a,
industry.
yeah,
Right. So how
it's not
can
happening
we,
as much as it should. And that's why, like, I'm this is the side of today that I'm really appreciative and excited about, because I feel like it's different today than it was a week ago, you know, and I feel like it's a, you know, it's on the front of people's minds. You know, it's up to us to take ownership over what it is that we're doing and have a clear focus. I just think it's a ton of opportunity, but it's now's the time to have those conversations.
Yeah.
And, you know, who, you know, really defining ourselves. Who are we? What are we doing? What's the goal?
Right. Right. So Danielle, I'll ask you, you know, because with your healthy mobile food and grocery delivery, obviously prior to COVID-19, you were able to deliver the prepared meals. And so now it's more so on the grocery side. But, you know, how are you, because I know that it's harder for you. A lot of times people may not want to pay your prices, and they'll say, oh, I'll just go to the store myself, you know. But how difficult is it for you to be able to thrive in this setting, because you're not maybe able to offer those sales that Safeway and Winco have, you know, because you're not only are you your own entity, but you're not a large corporation to where you can have, you know, the food 50% off this week. So how does that work for you? And then as far as building connections, how do you think that would help you?
Yeah. I mean, I think you literally just answered the question, because I think the attraction and the beauty of something like what I'm doing is that we are small, and so we're not, you know, we're not selling the Safeway brand version of fill in the blank. Like, we're literally selling these artisan, high quality products that you can't find at the large grocery store. And a large part of that is about collaborative efforts, like the Burgess brothers. We, you know, started a collaborative effort a few weeks ago of including their cornbread mix in our delivery box, and we've got another couple kind of things coming up, which we'll talk about later, I hope. But yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about, you know. One of the biggest reasons that I started Goodful was so we could, you know, utilize and promote and support smaller local businesses. I mean, that was a huge part of the reason that I started doing what I'm doing, whether it was lunch delivery or catering, or what we're doing now with the grocery delivery. But I mean, just like everyone else is saying, it's not easy. You do, I think Rob was saying a couple minutes ago, that you don't get into this industry without loving it, because it is like, it's not
for the faint of heart.
Yeah, well, I mean, no, but it's nonstop, and you're doing everything. I mean, I think Jamie was also saying, like, doing dishes. That's literally in my email signature. It's like owner, manager, chief dishwasher, because, you know, it's just the reality of it. Right. And that's just how things go. But I mean, I love it. It's it's something I've gone back to so many times, which I'm sure a lot of all of us can say.
Yeah.
And yeah, I do it because I love it. I love the people that I work with. Like, I mean, the team, yes, but also the suppliers. I feel like everyone is just so creative and so passionate. They're like these like artist chemists, which I'm sure like Rob knows what I'm talking about, like brewers and winemakers and stuff, and like people that make cheese and stuff. I mean, there's so much that goes into it. It's like you have to be a scientist and an artist, and it's like this combination. And I love it, and I love to eat and drink, so it works out perfectly for me, you know.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So that's all the more reason why collaboration is so much important. It's very important.
Yeah.
And so Jamie, I want to ask you, because you know, as a cake artist, you know, as I mentioned before, that's usually not a predominantly African American field. And so, you know, how are you able to, or matter of fact, let me put it this way: how important is collaboration for you? Because I'm sure with the industry that you're in, you know, even being able to be in those areas, the rural areas and the areas that, you know, may not have us because it's your auntie or your cousin, but what about folks outside of that? How important is collaboration for you in your industry?
Collaboration is extremely important. As a cake artist, I can't do everything. So I'm not doing the whole party. Sometimes I'm not even doing the whole dessert table. I think, like Rob touched on it, when it comes to collaboration, you do one thing, someone else does another thing. I think knowing your niche and knowing your part is very important, and being able to confidently play your part. I have a lot of like event planners that I work with. One in particular is Courtney Franklin. She does Courtney's Creations and Events, and I am her go-to cake person. But she also has a go-to treats person and a go-to balloons person, and she makes sure that she uses African American women as her team. That's very important for her. Also being able to have contracts or agreements with places like the Crocker Art Museum, for example, has me as one of their preferred vendors for wedding cakes, as well as B Street Theater. And quite frankly, getting those type of you know, people to back you, it takes being present.
Right.
And sometimes you have to give some to get some. So like with B Street Theater, I became one of their preferred vendors because I donated a dessert table to one of their events. Being willing to do that, and that was on a busy weekend. So I lost a lot of sleep, and it was worth the sacrifice.
Right.
And I think that seeing the diligence, hard work, the work ethic, all of that, very important. It makes people want to collaborate with you. It makes people be able to see that they can trust you to do your part and not fall through at the last minute, because you have to be able to count on the people that you collaborate with.
Right.
Otherwise, you know, one bad part can make the whole team look bad.
Absolutely. And that's awesome. And I think Courtney Franklin is on right now. She said, hey, hey. So, hey, Courtney, thank you for always going to the Black women. That's what's needed right now. So, John and Matthew, do you go by Matt or Matthew? I should have asked you that before.
Doesn't matter. Either one.
Doesn't
Matt's
matter.
fine.
All right.
Yeah.
So you two, how important is it when you are, you know, getting some of those contracts and even looking to get other contracts? How important is the collaboration piece for you guys?
You know, and I'll speak to this a little bit. It's one of the cornerstones of what we do. And I told John this a long time ago, because so many people would not reach down and assist us when we came out for help. That looked like us. So that was a little alarming. But I told him this. I said, look, John, if we're not helping other people on the way up, we're not doing our job. I don't want to get at the top of the mountain and then say, oh, well, let me help you. I mean, so that's something that we've done from day one. We'll continue to. I believe it's in our mission statement, and it's just in our DNA. That's who we are. So So collaboration is key.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we collaborate as twins, maybe because we're twin brothers. We have to do it amongst ourselves.
Who's older?
Who looks older?
Oh.
I ain't gonna even put my.
I'm just saying. That's a fair question. Who looks older? I could be older. I don't know. Anyway, but what I'm saying is that it's collaboration is what it takes for all of us to grow. I mean, and so everyone on here on this call that was a piece of the collaboration, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even just this right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I'll just kind of clean up. And Matt, I think you asked a question, and one of the things I don't think we ever really covered was, how do we address some of the things? And I think we really address it with starting to have conversations like we're having right now. So, we're all talking and there's a conversation. And I think we all can attest, it's been called out, we've written letters. I think BSBA has written letters as well. And Rob, I'm sure Rob participated, but there's a lot of talent here just on this call. And there's a lot of talent throughout the African-American community. And that's not always highlighted in Sacramento. So we've got to be able to have these conversations. I can tell you, a very candid letter that went to the mayor and all city council. All of us have seen the Tower Bridge. Now, I can't tell you that I've seen one black chef ever on that bridge.
Right.
And I ask myself why. We've been cooking food since slavery. We've been in the hospitality industry since God knows how long, and there is this feeling of, hey, it's inclusive and diverse, and Sacramento is this. And so I say the responsibility is with our good white friends, because we all have them, and us. It's a matter of calling this stuff out. No more, and I think that's what Rob touched on. It's a different time right now. No more can you say and not do. There's too much talent. And so all we've been saying for the longest is that we want to be included. We want to participate in the wealth. We want to participate in these arenas. We've got the talent, the skill set, and can collaborate to do it. I think Rob is doing the Great Plates program. We're doing it as well. When you look at the CAF list that they send out, which is great, they want us to lose local farmers, right? Well, I didn't see one black farmer on there yet. Well, there's one maybe, but I mean real farmland. And so when I go back to history, and this is what's happened with America, is that we buried history, and so everybody believes it's just a level playing field, and it's really not. And I'm not asking, none of us right here are asking for a handout. We're asking to be included. We will earn our own way. Rob can do barbecue as well as we could do barbecue. And I mean, I'll tell you, I'll eat his brisket any day. Okay. Now, he's going to use our cornbread after this call because that's what collaboration is all about. But I mean, the point is, just like Jamie's cakes and Danielle's, the good full eating and the ear chilled chickens and all that stuff. Listen, we make up 16% of Sacramento, and probably more if we all did census.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
We're not making up 16% of the wealth that's being transcended in the food industry in this region. And that's time for change. And it's conversations like this and people that go to Rob's place, that know the Burgess brothers, that support Jamie and Danielle, that are going to make the difference. We can say it all day long, but this is for everybody else. And I think that's where we are right now.
Yeah. So, John, how come you ain't on nobody's ballot somewhere? I feel like we need to be voting for you on something somewhere. You need to be on somebody's ballot. I'm so serious.
Seconded.
We're going to write you in. We're going to write you in.
Hey, you know what? I tell you what. I mean, there's some spots that are coming up. I've got a couple of properties in the city of Sacramento. I might be running for council. I'm just going to put it out there, assembly something. But it's time for change. And if I'm the guy to do it, then I'm called to do it. I'll do it.
Yes. There you go. So we're going to be on the lookout. So serious.
Okay.
So I want to read a few of our viewers that are chiming in right now. Linda White says, your cakes are yummy, very reliable. Jamie's yummy cakes. Dennis Sidner says, you brothers are amazing, and we going to get on that bridge, right? And Minnie Jordan, she just basically said, #facts. Okay. So this is all facts. This information, everything that you guys are sharing, is very valuable. Thank you guys all for chiming in this conversation with us. So I do want to talk about, obviously they're starting to open back up in California. And so it's a no-brainer that COVID-19, I'm sure, has affected all of you as far as your business is concerned. But with things slowly opening back up, how is that looking for each one of you as far as the pandemic is concerned? Let's start with you, Jamie. Has there been a change, being that
Well,
you're not in an actual building? Has there been a change at all?
there actually has been a huge change. It's because of the pandemic that my business actually took the direction of the cream cakes. It's something that
Okay.
I have been planning for years that I wanted to do, but um, just being in the flow of custom cakes, I wasn't able to be able to see how I could move and adjust to that.
Mm-hmm.
But with, canceled and postponed orders, and I literally had 3 months with no custom cakes. And
Oh,
so it
wow.
started like, let me clear my inventory. Let's try
Yeah.
that. So then I started baking what I call quarantine size cakes. So they were just small cakes, small dessert cakes. And then from there I was like, you know what? This might be a good time to introduce the cream cakes.
Reinvent
And
yourself.
I
Yep.
I did. And exactly.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of people who were disappointed because I have great clients. Like a lot of my clients, I've done their baby shower cake all the way up to their baby's 5th birthday, and like
Mm-hmm.
literally their family cake artists. But I had to transition, and ever
Yeah.
since I did, no lie, I have not had one day that I have not had a cake order. Multiple cake orders. Like every day
Yay.
there are
Awesome.
orders.
Yeah.
So
That's
everybody has
awesome.
been amazing. Yeah, amazingly supportive. And I do have to say that, like, even though we're having this conversation about the disparages in the, statistics and what's going on here, I have a huge, like, amazingly supportive client base. And
Awesome.
I'm just very grateful for them. I have to be able to say that. They are
Mm-hmm.
amazing and they do support Black business. We do need more. And I
Yeah.
think, the knowledge and being aware of the Black businesses that are here is important.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, congratulations. Glad to hear that it has been a positive for you. So moving over to you, Danielle,
Yeah.
how has the pandemic impacted you, if at all? Well, I mean, I'm sure it has. And now that things are slowly opening back up, can you see the rainbow? Is it starting to come through?
Yeah. I would say that COVID forever changed what we were doing and what we're doing now. We had to stop everything that we were doing because it was lunch delivery and catering, and so catering, like I'm sure as Jamie can attest, like came to a screeching halt. Everything was canceled, full stop, no questions.
Yeah.
So that was huge, and pivoting to doing grocery delivery has worked well for us. And I actually really enjoy doing this piece of people. So I think that we'll continue doing it, and it'll just be an added part of the company from going forward, especially even when things open back up. I don't foresee us doing it. But yeah, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do. So
yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's, even though things are opening back up, there are still a lot of people who are scared and will not go out, so I don't think we'll ever get back to the norm of what we knew it. And a lot of people are just resorting to, from now on, I'm going to have this delivered. And I'm not, they realize that there's so many other services out there where they don't have to go out and they're scared. So I pray and hope that it continues, to be on the rise for you. That's awesome. That's awesome. So moving over to Rob, can you tell us, as far as the pandemic, how it has impacted, and then with things opening back up, are things on the up and up for you?
Yeah, it was a crazy swing for us. I mean, so between all three properties, um, I had to furlough a little over 80 employees. That was the
Wow.
hardest hardest thing to do, to have to do that and then have the faith that things are going to get back to normal. We have been able to hire everyone back. Our business model went from 3% of our business was to go food to 100%.
Wow.
So we had to shift our entire business model, look at menu items that didn't travel well, kind of revisit that. On the production end for beer, because we're not selling pints across our whole bar, we went to package, and luckily we had signed some distribution deals about 2 months prior, but our distribution shot up about 800%. So we're actually brewing more beer than we ever brewed ever.
Congrats.
That was cool. Yeah. But it's just like literally, like I said at the beginning of this podcast was, we had the first thing that came over me when I heard was fear. It was like, grab your cash. Where's the guns? Get the gas tank. Like it's on, right? It's like,
Seriously.
I went from that to I'm just keeping it real, And I mean, I don't know the audience who's watching this, but I'm gonna, I'm gonna keep it real. So it's like, it's like I came into Urban Roots and I said, you know what? I went from that feeling to saying, you know what? But what am I living for? And that's when it came to, what can I do to help everyone that's out here? What can I do to help the community? So I said, you know what? We're not making money. Let's just keep people working and let's provide the most affordable meals we possibly can. So it was a $10 meal that included beer with it.
Oh, wow.
So it was like for $10, you get a beer and a meal, right? And so we did that up to, 8 people. So we did that. And it's like the first day I came in, it was funny because the lights are off, kind of dim, and the chairs are still up on the tables. We look like we're closed, but there's food going out. And I'm like, you know what? If we're going to do this, then we're going to do it. I said, remember like when you was in college, you went to go see the Weed Man and he had the vibe going, he had the music going and all that stuff. And this is like, you come in and you just like, hey, get what you need and you get out. You know what I'm saying? Right. But it was like, I was just like, you know what? People are getting out of their house on purpose because they can cook at home, but they're getting out of their house for a reason. And so we got to give them a little bit of that vibe. You know what I'm saying? And so that was the energy. Once we caught that, then the ideas came and we had some, we did well. I mean, it was amazing. I was back there doing dishes. My partner was back there doing dishes. We just embraced it. You know what I'm saying? And but I'll tell you what, it's like I was saying earlier, you had to stay in the moment because every day they're like, hey, you're hopping on your right foot today. Next thing on your left foot. Now rub your tummy. Now scratch your head. Now it's like you didn't know what the laws were. And you didn't know what you're walking into the next day, right? Yeah. And it's like now you got to come in, but you got to wear a mask. Now you got So we were just like, and then still right now it's like we just opened up 2 weeks or it's a week now for Urban Roots, and it's social distancing. So we had to rearrange the entire restaurant. We had to pretty much go to table service. We did have a crazy big weekend this past weekend. The past week actually has been really cool. Awesome. So it's just, it's like coaching your team to just be resilient because I mean, everyone has, this is aside from everybody's problems at home.
Right.
Like you got to come into work and still like, your job has changed. Right. So it's for me, like to summarize it, it's definitely built a character in our entire organization that to me is going to be hard to break.
Yeah.
It's going to be, I mean, there's a faith that's happened that through our team and just everyone doing whatever we had to do to get through.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I do appreciate. And I actually appreciate, I call this the great pause because it's caused me like to slow down. I spend a lot of time with my boys. I have two young boys, 12 and 8. Or 12 and 9, sorry. And it's just able to enjoy that time with them, slow down a little bit. We're not open all, it's not so crazy. Right. And so it's like a good time to kind of reflect and kind of like, how much do you need? What is the goal?
Awesome.
All that kind of stuff.
Awesome.
So that's been kind of cool to kind of vibe to that.
No, I'm glad to hear that you've had some positive takeaways, with COVID-19 as well. So congrats to you on that. And so, John and Matthew, what are some of the ways that, COVID-19 impacted Burgess Brothers specifically. And now that it's opening back up, well, if at all, and now that it's opening back up, how's it looking?
Well, specifically, it impacted us because, as many of you know, or maybe you don't know, but we're in the sporting arena. So we're in ballparks and arenas such as Levi Stadium. We're supposed to be in the Rivercat Stadium this year, Sutter Hill Park. And that totally took a nosedive, being that baseball season was affected. And so we really had to pivot and do some other things. We shifted, again, we have e-commerce. So we had our appliances that we're selling online, and then we shifted from having our appliances made to having some of the PPE made that some of the hospitality industries would utilize, such as the gloves and the mask, and offering that as at a much lower rate than you can find anywhere else. So
awesome. Okay, John, Senator John.
No, you know what? Matt covered it just fine. You know, we really just had to kind of pivot. It really brought about, you know, the creativity and resiliency that, you know, Rob talks about. And so, again, I'm just going to go back. We've always been a resilient group of people, you know, since the beginning of time. And so when you're faced with adversity, you either rise to the occasion, and I don't see any of us tucked with our head in the sand saying it's over. So, you know, like Matt said, I mean, we reached out to suppliers. You know, we're looking at major contracts with PPE wear, you know, because we've got the contacts. And so for anybody in the hospitality industry that's listening, if you're buying those masks, don't go to web store, don't go anywhere. We guarantee to pay, you get them from us at the lowest rate possible. You know, not doing any markup. They're FDA approved. And so those are the things that it's made us kind of look out to do. And like Rob talked about earlier, it's really your connections and your network, and you know, having that diverse network of people of all walks of life. You know, this might be a solely African American call, but I can tell you, I believe in every one of our networks, we've got a diverse group of people that would actually go to battle with us. And so that's what you need. And that's what makes it powerful.
No, that's awesome. And, you know, thank all of you so much, you know, for just the information that you've shared. I think the most important takeaway from today is collaboration, because at the end of the day, if we're not all working with one another, working together to continue to build so that there is some representation in that 16%, that's a huge problem, you know. And the good old back in the day, FUBU, for us, by us. We just got to make our way. If it's for us, by us, right? Because there's power in numbers, and if we all collaborate together, we will be unstoppable. And I say we because it's all of us. I'm not in the hospitality industry, but it's we. It takes a village, so it's all of us. So I know we have a few minutes left, and I did want to. I'm going to read this because I don't want to mess it up. But so ACA 5 is up for a vote on Wednesday. And it's going to be very important for all of us, all of you watching. This information is vital because we need to ensure that there is a yes vote on ACA 5. And this amendment will put an initiative on the ballot to repeal Prop 209, which did away with affirmative action in public contracting, employment, and education. Because as I mentioned before earlier in the broadcast, the city, the state, they're not tracking, they're not tracing, you know, what percentage of Black business owners in this hospitality industry are actually working. And we need to fix that. So they're going to have a link up for you guys. It will be on the bottom of the screen, but make sure you engage your legislatures. We need a vote yes on that. That is going to be up on the ballot for Wednesday. It's time to fix this policy that was meant to end discrimination for all, but it actually resulted in discrimination against the Black community. Okay, so you guys got that. ACA 5, vote yes. The information will be on the bottom of the screen. So, you know, with that being said, we have a few minutes. Any last words that you guys would like to share? Before you do, really quick, I just want to say I have to read this comment. One of the viewers, Cheryl Shepherd, she said, y'all need to do a Black Food Fest on the bridge.
Yeah.
So Black Food Fest on the bridge. Time to get those permits. You know, the city is opening back up. We need to get those permits. I will be the MC. I'm telling y'all, we need to do a Black Food Fest. That is a great idea. Miss Shepherd, we definitely need to do that. So I'm just putting it out there.
Right. I second that. I'm going to take my few minutes just to go back in my political arena because I may be running for office. So that ACA 5 that you talked about, I just want everybody to know that's listening or may listen in to this is that everybody in this call right now would say, you know, they don't want affirmative action in the way of put me in a spot just because I'm black. None of us want that. What we want is an equal opportunity to compete on the playing field. And honestly, right now, when you look at the numbers in the city of Sacramento and everywhere else, we're not getting that. And we know there's some talent on this call right now. And so I can tell you one of the things that Matthew and I have done, are doing, and will continue to do, as we get large contacts, I will come back to the Rob Archies, to the Danielles, to the James, and say, look, we're going to put this doggone thing together because we represent excellence, and I'll be doggone if we fail on it. So that, yeah, that's a yes vote because it's time to say yes. And the reality is that we're not represented, and it's been used against us. So that's my 2 cents. Love what you guys are doing, and it's good, all good.
Yeah, no, awesome. Jamie, any last words for our viewers? Any takeaways?
For the viewers, I just want to thank everybody who, you know, tuned in to support each one of us individually. It's y'all who, you know, make the difference. Like Nikisha said, she doesn't make cake or do barbecue, but you know, everybody eat. So when
That's
you
all I've been
hungry,
doing.
come to us. We good. We got you. And you know. So yeah, drink some beer, eat some barbecue, get some cake, have your groceries delivered. You know, have all those services. You know, I think it's amazing the collaboration that we're able to do with this conversation. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Jamie. Danielle, any last words?
Yeah, I would just kind of reiterate what you were saying, Nikisha, earlier, is that I think the way that we're all gonna get through this and come out, you know, better on the other side is through collaboration and through community. And I mean, that's it. That's really it. You know, support and promote and collaborate. And I forget, John, what you were saying last talk. It was like strategizing and something. I don't remember, but. Yeah, we really all have to work together and support one another. I think that's how we're going to get there, you know?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Danielle.
Yeah, thank you.
Rob, last words.
Yeah, I just, you know, thanks for having me again. I really appreciate it. You know, I just want to say, young people, older people watching this, you guys tune in, contribute, bring your ideas, get in this industry. It's like, that's what we need. We need the energy. We need the passion. You know, so it's like, you'll find the support, you know what I'm saying? Just like anything, it's just like jumping in, you'll find it, but it's like, you first got to have it, you know, within you. So I just challenge everybody, especially, you know, kids of color, gotta get into it. And another thing to touch on what you said, John, about the bridge dinner, it's like my nephew, he started working for me when he was 16, you know, dishwasher, busting dishes. And he's our executive chef here at Urban Roots. And it's arguably one of the busiest places in the city. And he has a huge workload, you know, but it's interesting because I didn't even like I said, when your head's down, you're just working, and we don't really trip off that type of stuff. But the symbolism of that is huge. You know what I'm saying? And so he does need to be on that bridge. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna, you know, make sure that, you know, I make as much noise as I can to make sure he's on there.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you so much, Rob. And Matthew, last words.
Yeah, I just wanted to just mimic what everybody else said, and I think a lot of that is just being intentional. You know, we have to be intentional because we do matter, and we make up the diversity of Sacramento. And so, again, I encourage you all to share this with your friends and people that don't look like us, and say that, look, like my brother said, we don't want a handout. We want the opportunity. We know we have a great product. We know the product won't fail you. And also, don't forget Father's Day. We have a special collaboration with Goodful. Make sure you go to Goodful website, order your basket.
Awesome.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, thank you all so much. Jamie, Rob.
Sorry.
I'll say that again, Danielle.
No, I said, yeah, our Father's Day special is live. There's a link on eatgoodful.com, and it's a collaboration between the Burgess brothers and myself. And we're super excited to bring it to you guys.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what? You guys were great. Jamie, Danielle, Rob, John, Matthew, thank you so much for joining us tonight for this so much needed community conversation. And to all of our viewers, you guys, it's time. We have to get to work. We can't talk about it. We have to be about it. So again, vote is coming up for ACA 5. It's going to be on the ballot on Wednesday. For more information, please see the Black Small Business Association Facebook page on that. And remember, you guys, come November, you have to vote. We have to vote, not just nationally, but locally. We have to get the right people so that not only Black lives matter, but Black businesses too. So on that note, you guys, I'm Nikisha Henry. It has been a pleasure. Thank you, panel. You guys, please stay safe. God bless y'all and have a good night.